Good morning. Today is the 30th, and I'm still, I think, a little sleepy. May go back to bed. Um, I probably won't, but just chiming in to share with you a little commentary on what's happening here. The Gangsta Grannies are halfway through their journey, a month-long journey into deep healing, and it's going well. We are in step two. If you followed along, we're following the steps that are listed in one of the newest social tech books. Revolution Must Come to Our House, Our Home. If I were coordinated, I'd have the book and be able to show you a picture of it, but I'm not. But you can find it on the websites, Global Underground Railroad or NoWastedTime.com. And the Gangster Grannies are with us for a month. Maybe I'll just talk a little bit about how that happened. This year, the Heal Together initiative really was focusing on older women and their healing journey and supporting that. And towards that end, we offered 5 spaces for older women, 50 or over, or grandmother at any age, to come down and participate on a work exchange and participate in our month-long healing intensive. Part of the requirement is they do the work. The other part is that they share it with you. And so if you haven't followed our current Gangsta Grannies or our past cohort from January, you can go to gangstagranniesglobal.com. I pinned the website in the chat and be able to click on their social media and join in on the journey with them. What's coming up? Stress is coming up. Stress and noceums. We were Saturday up on Pachamama Hill, and uh, the little bugs called noceums, they bite. But what I have experienced is the reaction is delayed. So think about a mosquito bite that doesn't start itching until a day or two later. And then it will itch like nobody's business. And so they mentioned it, and I said, noceums. I have one little bite on my hand. We were out on the ground and up on the mountain in the wilderness. And we were one with nature, and the bugs seemed to enjoy that. So I had a previous experience of being out in the wilderness and the noceums getting me unexpectedly. And there's one type of allergy medicine that works. Nothing else works really well. Um, and when they mentioned it, I said that no, say no more, say no more. Nothing's gonna help you. Nothing is gonna help you. Not baking soda, paste, nothing's gonna help you with this except for this kind of allergy medicine. So I went to the pharmacy, and um, he had 7 pills in a box. Here you can just buy a couple of pills of something. And so I got that to them. One of them had taken their pill by dinner time and said the itching was subsiding drastically. So I was glad for that. So we were having leftover experiences from Saturday up at Pachamama Hill. Um, but stress, we talked about the accumulation, a lot of things. This is emotional stress, and that has an impact on our bodies. And getting enough rest and hydrating and all of those things play a part. But we also started talking about feeling liberated at the same time as feeling tender. Uh, we've been now 15 days into really the deepest part of the dive. And it takes energy. And that tends to have a toll. It's kind of like you rub up against something until it's raw. And that's kind of what's happening. But that the other side of that is some of the joy of feeling liberated, of having tools to be able to say things about the experiences or sit with the strong emotions, even though sitting with those strong emotions takes energy and may feel uncomfortable. The lightness that comes, It's having having the good cry and then saying, "Ooh, I feel better." Um, because many times we live lives where we hold those emotions in, we don't express those emotions, and it turns internal and does harm to us. We're the one we're poisoning when we do that. And so it's learning about how to sit with strong emotions and why that might be a good thing. Um, one of the reasons that I chose to invest the energy into older women, and a little bit about why I call them gangster grannies. Um, it takes courage to stop and get honest sometimes, especially if life hasn't felt all the way honest. Um, the identification is, how many times have you worn the masks? You put on the titles. Um, we have lots of them: mom, wife, daughter. We have professional titles: doctor this, reverend that. We play the roles um, in life. And to stop and really look in the mirror. Weda's post was about looking in the mirror, and she said in there, "Look at the smile. Don't you see it?" And she's saying, "That's what I practice doing, smiling." What are her words? Go find her post from yesterday. It's on my social media, reposted, it's on hers. But it was, you see the smile in the mirror, and underneath, I ain't feeling so good about life sometimes. And for older women that have lived over 5 decades, and to take time to stop and look in the mirror and go to those places in your own life takes courage. And it's really believing that healing is one of the hardest things to do. How do I know? Because people take their unhealed stuff to the grave. And supporting older women, women that have lived some life, got some perspective on life, um, is hard. But that it's a good thing, because healed women in our community are the mothers and the grandmothers that we need. To heal what's happening in community, we need nurturing. A lot of things are talking, masculine energy, feminine energy. Feminine energy is the equal and opposite force that may bring us back to center, or at least help us. And that, for me, the epitome of that, symbolically, is older women, grandmothers. I did some work in the historical sector, and it was the older women. Those were the ladies on the porch. Those were the ladies doing fundraisers to send kids to college. Those were the ladies that cared about you when you were out misbehaving in the community. It was a loving kind of nurturing that also held firm with boundaries and accountability, but also had grace and patience and love. And healing community is going to need that. And so older women taking the courage to stop and to heal, to address the fears and the insecurities and the guilt, even perhaps when you've lived this hyper independence of not needing anything and being able to be there for everyone except for yourself. And so this year, um, this past season, the 2024-2025 Heal Together season, has really been about supporting older women, giving them the opportunity to get away, come away, take the energy, and just commit to caring for themselves. Focus on themselves, you know. It seems so simple. Take time out of life so that you can stop and focus on you. Give yourself the quality time and energy that you've given to so many people, and direct it on your own rest and your own healing. And so the Gangsta Grannies really is about that. It's about supporting that. It's like saying, shouldn't we support the things that take us in the right direction? Older women healing as part of the foundation for a healing community. That just seems like the right direction. And there were 4 ladies that took me up on that offer. The 2 that came in January and the 2 that are here now doing the work. And so I'm grateful to be a part of their journey. Good morning, lovable creations. I see your message. Thanks for joining us. It's about supporting those things in community that are important to you. And healing's important to me. I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can make the changes, sustainable changes, transformative changes in community if we don't heal. We could pretend, but the pretending wears off when life gets difficult. I remember as a kid, the analogy, if you squeeze a grape, what comes out of it is what's inside. I can visualize that. But we're the same. If we're not doing transformation work, if we're just pretending, the fake it till you make it. When stress comes in life, when the difficult times come, when the hard times come, you go back to your regular behavior. And if that hasn't healed, if that hasn't transformed, if your behavior doesn't align with sustainable values, then we got dangerous times when there's crisis. People are, back to that bad behavior that they can't fake. Transformation is different. It becomes who you are. It's not the second nature that you pretend. It becomes the first nature of who you really are when you begin to align in a transformative way with your values. When we get to the point where we can live our values more and more. And part of what they're doing now in step 2 is really identifying their values. Sometimes we don't talk in terms of values. Because I value safety, I expected my parent to take care of me or to protect me. We talk oftentimes about expectations, sometimes beliefs. If we're in, faith circles, sometimes we know beliefs. These are the things that we believe. We hold these to be true. There's inherent worth and dignity in all people. Love will be our guide. But oftentimes it's expectations. And so often it's unspoken expectations. So it's the expectations we hold, but we really haven't ever communicated that with people. I expected you to behave in this way towards me. I expected you to do these things on my behalf, however you frame it. But this part of the process, they're putting words to it. What did I believe? What did I expect in this situation? And then this step is really heavy, because then it says, what did I lose? What did I lose? What were the losses associated with this interaction? We interacted in this way, and it cost me something. What were my losses? Sometimes you lost innocence. You lost feeling supported. You lost self-esteem. You lost believing that you could trust family, believing that you could trust God. You lost lots of things. And putting words to those things is sometimes heavy. The ladies are doing that. And then we kind of turn the mirror and say, what did I do? How did I respond to this situation? What were the means that I used to survive emotionally? And sometimes physically, depending on the life incidents that they're dealing with. But it's going through that and coming out of it and sitting with those emotions that ladies are beginning to talk about, feeling lighter, speaking things that they haven't ever spoken, being able to sit with the emotions and then realizing I can sit with these emotions. And when I do, it becomes better. I'm not holding these emotions on the inside. I become lighter. And that's what this work is about. But then one of the ladies shared about freedom and about grace. Those were some of the themes from yesterday: grace and freedom. Having grace for yourself, having grace for the experiences you were in, having grace for carrying the weight so long, Uh, and then freedom. Freedom to be able to choose who you are and how you'll move through the world. Freedom to be able to say the things you mean. To be able to speak the things that you need. And we're dealing with the emotions that come up, even though you're doing what feels right. It still may trigger feelings like shame and guilt. Why do I feel guilty about doing what feels right for me? Doing what feels honest? That's just your damage showing. When you're doing what feels honest and what feels loving to you, and you feel guilty about that, that guilt is part of the damage that we're working to heal. So that eventually we get to the point where we don't have to feel guilty about doing what feels true, about saying what feels true, about taking care of ourselves well, about taking care of ourselves in ways that are loving. And the ladies are going there. These things are coming up and they're processing. In the social tech tools that we're using, we're still just collecting facts, but you can't help but begin to see where you've been in a different way. And my hope is that the ladies are seeing where they've been in a way that's leading them to healing, to freedom, to more joy, more space for joy in their lives. And yeah, that's where we're going. It's heavy. It's heavy work. Some days feel really heavy as we go through the incidents that have caused us long-term harm and pain. But there's joy in it. That's the part we don't talk about. The balance side of healing is that the joy comes. You do the work, but the yappas, the benefits, the extras are that it gives you the freedom to move more authentically in your life, to show up more authentically. And like that, that is the part that's exciting. What if you could show up authentically in life? And only you really know the parts of your life where you're not. It's not something we can see oftentimes on the outside. So much of that authenticity is about what you see in your own mirror. And this space is not about judgment. So it's not about saying, you're not being authentic. I don't do that. I don't have the space. I don't have the capacity to do that. But others, when you're looking at yourself, you have the capacity to do that. Where in your life are you not being honest and authentic? I shared with the ladies that one of the places that people oftentimes feel inauthentic is work. Erica Badu says work ain't honest, but it pays the bills. Those conflicting values, because we've talked about that too. Sometimes the values you hold are conflicting, and that's just real life. It's messy. Our values sometimes are messy. I believe this and I believe that, and those two things might be in confliction at various points in my life with each other. But we use those values to guide our lives. And sometimes those values are in conflict with each other. And it's just understanding that sometimes creates trauma for us when we have conflicting values. So it's heavy, it's heavy, it's heavy. But the heaviness makes way for joy, for freeing up life, for opening up life in ways that just feel good. It feels good to live authentically. It feels good to have space in your life to live what feels true. What's true about you. It's the things that give you joy. It's the passions in your life, like living where that becomes what your life really is, that you get honest with who you are and then craft a life that is as honest as you can be with yourself. So they're doing this heavy work, but they're having some ugly cries. That's the real part of it. They're having some ugly cries and doing the things they need to refuel themselves. And they're getting freer day by day. And that's exciting to watch. It's exciting to see as change takes place. I was working on some video editing, and one of the videos is with one of the partners for the Soul Safari, upcoming healing vacation retreat in November in Kenya. Reach out if you want more information about healing together with us in Kenya. And he says, there's a clip, and he says something to the effect of, I just like seeing the transformation as it's happening in people. He works with youth, that's his passion, but he works with the leaders that work with youth. And he says, I'm excited about seeing when transformation is happening in people. And I echo that. It's exciting to see as clarity comes in, as people begin to see more of themselves, as people begin to see a way out of the existence that they had before they got here. It's exciting to see transformation happen where we start unpacking the bags, and when we do that, it feels good. I told them this is like doing the cold plunge. They experienced the spa and the contrast pool. I said, this is like doing a cold plunge from life. The life that is comfortable, familiar to us. Even if it's not comfortable, it's familiar to us. That's kind of like the warm water. And then this is like intentionally plunging yourself into that cold water. At the spa, the signs, when it translates the signs, it says distress, pleasure, then distress. You're supposed to get in that cold water, then you get in the hot water, and then you're supposed to get in that cold water again. I always do it in reverse. I do the pleasure, distress, and then the pleasure again because I like warm water. But this healing work is about taking that cold plunge in life, going to those places that feel just as shocking, but then realizing that once you submerge, you acclimate very quickly. Things that they have avoided, and then realizing you can sit with those strong emotions, you can sit with these incidents and work them through to resolution. So I'm like Shuki. It's exciting to see transformation happen, to see as the ladies get to know themselves even more deeply and see the joy sparkle in them, in their voice, in their words, in the way they move. And that's exciting. And then we top the day off with Ecuadorian shrimp and grits because we can. Good food is a part of my wellness plan. Uh, it's one of the ways I take care of myself. I don't have a restaurant anymore, so I get to cook for other people when they come. Sometimes. The deal is that there's groceries here provided that they feed themselves, but oftentimes they can feed themselves by just coming downstairs and eating what's already cooked. I cook quite a bit, so um, shrimp and grits was on the menu last night, and I was very happy about that. I was doing the happy dance in my chair, and we've had a couple of really good runs of food this week. We went to the market on Sunday, I think, Sunday afternoon. Uh, One of the things that I really have enjoyed being here is the corvina, sea bass. I've never been a real big fish person, but I have grown to really like sea bass. And um, one of the things that I use it for oftentimes is fish tacos. I do it like with the lettuce wrap. And so we had that day before yesterday, but we also got some shrimp and giant shrimp. Those weren't giant shrimp. Those were large though, large shrimp and fresh. And we opted for the shelled and deveined because they were the same price as the unshelled. And I just thought that just makes sense to me. And the few yappas that were thrown into the bag by the gentleman that was helping us. I'm always grateful for the yappas. It was a couple of extra bites of goodness. And so I'm still working on the Ecuadorian grits. you kind of got to improvise. But anywhere there's corn, you can have grits. Anywhere you got corn, you can have grits. And Latin American countries have corn. So grits is definitely a possibility anywhere you are in Latin America. If you know what to ask for. Here it's morocho, I believe is the word, the ground corn. And you get it in different grinds depending on where you're at and what variety they have. This time they didn't have the finer ground corn. Like I used to like to get it kind of like stone ground grits. I used to have a farmer that did grits that I used to get grits for in South Carolina. A little bit coarser than what you find in the grocery store, but this was a much larger. And so I used the Vitamix to grind it and get it a little bit finer, which makes it quicker to cook. And just, I'm playing with it, experiments. So I unleashed that experiment on the ladies, and I think we all enjoyed it. Um, what else? We just dealing with some physical, not feeling so good. And part of it is just, some of the adjustments to the elevation, motion, too much motion, too much salt, a trip to a higher elevation than here, and she wasn't feeling her 100% yesterday morning, but was feeling better yesterday evening. And then the stress, just the stress of doing healing work. The emotional stress does have a part that it plays on the body. So we're eating good. Um, we've had some really beautiful weather days. Cuenca is in a state of perpetual spring, and that really means spring and fall, but it's winter time. It's our cold season. Summer is our cold season, and we had maybe a week or two of kind of chilly weather. And we were out yesterday. And I thought, well, maybe we had our 2 weeks of chilly weather. Last year we had about 2 weeks that was really chilly for the area, and that means it's like in the 60s instead of in the low 70s every day. Nights were getting down to like the high 40s instead of staying in the 50s. So that's really cold, but it's been beautiful weather the past few days. So we've been able to enjoy that on our walks to the store. Um, I walked to the pharmacy yesterday to get the allergy medicine for the no-see-um bug bites. And yeah, we're just kind of chilling. We had a couple of social engagements Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I told them I'll be at the house as much as possible the rest of this week. I've done my social outings, and I'll be at the house because I like being at home, getting refreshed as we come into this month in. So yeah, we're midway point. I hope you're checking out their videos and they're um, sharing this journey with them. Encourage our ladies, Weeda Patton and Danielle Brooks. Encourage them in their journey. Wander over to their social media and say hi and give them a thumbs up or a heart. Let them know you're supporting their work of healing. That's it. That's it. I'm up lounging this morning. I'm not doing much of anything. Um, do I have anything that I want to do this morning? No, I don't. I don't have anything I want to do this morning. I want to sip coffee. I'm going to make some tea because I'm working on hydrating earlier in the day so I can get all of my water intake in that fuels my body. That just feels good. And that's what I'm working on in my healing journey, making sure I hydrate enough. Um, but I want to be lounging this morning, and that's what I'm going to do. So that for me is freedom to do what you want to do. What do you want to do this morning? Nothing. What you going to do this morning? Nothing. So the ladies and I will gather um, later on this morning and do our healing circle and chit chat. And I don't know what they have planned, but I got nothing planned today. And that's probably what I'll be doing, lounging around the house, watching the news. When I woke up earlier this morning, I saw there was a major earthquake and tsunami coming across the Pacific. I think it's going to be more North America. And I don't think South America's coastline is going to get any of that impact, but who knows? It's nature. So checking in on that. There were some tsunami warnings issued for California. I've got family in California, Northern California. So I'll be checking in on that to see what Mother Earth is doing, what Pachamama is doing this morning. And that's probably what I'm going to be up to today. If you'd like more information about healing together with us, you can reach out. GlobalUndergroundRailroad.com is the website for the International Welcome Center here in Cuenca. You can find me on social media. You can send a message here on YouTube. You can send an email to friends@nowastedtime.com. That's our collaborative page, nowastedtime.com. There's information about Soul Safari if you're interested in healing together with us and want to do it in Kitale, Kenya in November. We'd love to have you. We want to get those spaces sold that will help us with some of the scholarships that will go to African leaders in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So we're really excited about that. So get registered, get your deposit paid. There's a $500 deposit that's due to hold your space. You've got till the 5th of October to pay your balance so you can space it out. But you need to be getting your plane tickets and your visa, that kind of thing in place. It's an all-inclusive experience from the time you touch down in Kenya until the time you leave Kenya. So all of your meals and transportation, airport transfers, excursions, everything's included. So you need your plane ticket and your spending money. But we want you to come and heal together with us. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the team that I'm working with because this isn't just a, gimmicky tagline. The team I'm working with has been months in doing the work themselves of healing and learning these tools and then using them in their life. And so it's exciting because they too are sharing their healing experience. And I'm excited about that. So, yeah, thanks for letting me ramble this morning while I drink my coffee. Come heal together with us and have a great day. Thanks for joining. Whenever you see this, thanks for joining in and kind of sharing. This is my commentary time, but have a great day. Live life fully today.